Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic That's Non-Classics. This is episode number 1680, 94, and Doubleshot number 1588. I've got two group trades. First one is the final trade that collects this round run for the book. First up we have Ultimate Comics Ultimates Volume 2. Yep. These are the last issues done by Jonathan Hickman, the original writer of this series. Not the original creator of this group. Oh no, that was Mark Millar, and I'm already pretty much done with him on Ultimates. Now, these are the final issues of Hickman's run. Now, Sam Humphries takes over he comes in as the co-writer with issue number 10, and with issue 13 he's the sole writer of the book, up until the final issue, which was issue number 30. Now, in this story arc here, in these issues here, we have mostly the conclusion to the Children Tomorrow storyline, which pretty much consumed the first 12 issues of Jonathan Hick of this whole entire run. And meanwhile, though, despite the fact they had failed to, of course, they had asked mission. Now, apparently, the Children Tomorrow decided to do something drastic. They attack Washington, D.C., and also several congressmen were killed, and apparently the Secretary of Energy, who becomes new president due to a line of suggestion. Though this is questioned in the next story arc, by the way. Flume himself, basically, who does not like the Ultimates, he decides to overthrow Nick Fury as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a coup d'etat. Yep, and the Ultimates are forced into hiding. And then, of course, despite the fact the Ultimate... Now, here's the thing. The director Flume had enacted the Winter Protocols. Now, Tony Stark himself does not recognize the Winter Protocols, and he tells the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to leave. And, of course, Nick Fury himself, and, of course, Hawkeye says, Fury's director of S.H.I.E.L.D., not Flume. And it's like, nah, Flume's in charge. And Nick Fury flees the scene. He does pop up briefly in the next story arc, and then, of course, Flume himself, basically, I'll get to more of that in a minute. So... Then, of course, basically, Thor and Iron Man are forced to ask the new president for assistance to go take up the Children Tomorrow and Reed Richards. They also get help from an unexpected source. Who? The Invisible Woman! Reed Richards' ex-girlfriend. Yep. They ask her for help to deal with Reed Richards. So they attack the city of Tomorrow. And, of course, Reed Richards is forced out of power. And we also have stuff going on with the United States, like, oh boy, like in these issues, like, in the Ultiverse, the United States is falling apart by basically revealing that Texas has left the Union, and basically the whole country is falling apart. And this basically sets up the events of the very next epic set of issues. Divided we fall, united we stand. Which I had previously reviewed that, and that was an excellent story arc. That was pure fun reviewing that book. Because it's basically Captain America come back after a time, because the end of this book basically set it up, comes back and puts the country back together. All in the process, he basically becomes the president of the United States, which is awesome. It means president pretty much the rest of the run. But in the case of Hickman signed the book, it was brief, but it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed these issues. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Now, the artwork in here is still done by the same artist. Well, mostly anyway, so the first 3 issues is done by Osset Rubik. For issue 10, it's done by Luke Ross. Also, the Hulk is in here, briefly working with the Maker, because he wants Betty Ross. Doesn't get him. And of course, the Hulk turns on him, and he does play a minor role in the next story arc. But the Hulk is gray now, and he wants nothing to do with the Ultimates. Alright, my final thoughts of Hickman's run for the book. It's definitely good. It felt as though, basically, with this book. Also, Captain Britain is in this book. He, of course, doesn't appear in the next story arc for some reason. I don't really know what happened to him. I also have Spider-Woman, who's part of the team. She has eventually become a member of the team a little later on. Where, of course, she decides to, well, let's just say, like, says Ultimates suck because she's basically like a Triskelion, and then she and Captain Britain are knocked out, though they eventually do escape. Yeah, because of Flume's coup d'etat. Oh, don't worry, next story, he's taken out. He's removed as director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Monica Chang, it takes over as new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And she means director for pretty much the rest of the series. Yep. Moving on to a different book, we have Thunderbolts, Volume 1, Faith in Monsters. First of 2 trades to collect Andy Diggle's run. Not Andy Diggle. Warren Ellis. Yep, Warren Ellis, who wrote this book. Yeah, first of 2 trades to collect the run, but first of 3 issues for the post-Civil War issues. This is called Faith in Monsters. Now, there is also a couple of things. This book collects issues 110 and 15 of the series, along with Thunderbolts Disc Measures, Choosing Sides. This is a short story from that, and The Initiative. The Choosing Sides one that takes place just prior to the events of 110. In the case of Disc Measures, takes place before 113. Initiative, I have no idea. Now, mostly put with these issues, this is basically the start of a brand spanking new lineup for the group. Now, we add to the team Norman Osborn. Yep, becomes the activist director of the group, and they officially in this era become basically marshals for the Commission of Superhuman Activities. And basically, this is a version of Thunderbolts. Basically, what they did is they merged the Civil War era Thunderbolts, the ones that operate for the government, and the previous established Thunderbolts, and they kind of merged 2 teams into one. And these are your following team members. We have, basically, from the previous team, we retain Songbird, Swordsman, Moonstone, and Radioactive Man. That's it. And this is your lineup. Yeah, these 4 here are the only 4 that they actually retained from the previous roster. They add to the group Norman Osborn, who later on does put on the costume, Bullseye, along with Venom, who at this point is Matt Gorgon, and Penance, the former Speedball. Yep, Speedball. So, in the case of these issues themselves, mostly, but the first thing they had to do, go after Jack Flag. Yep, go after Jack Flag in these issues, because he's an unregistered superhero, so go after him. And Bullseye corners him and stabs him in the back, paralyzing him. Oh, don't worry, he gets fixed a couple years later, thanks to Dynamic Analytics Guardians of the Galaxy, when he was actually into negatives over after this one. And there's also stuff with the character known as Steel Spider, who no one else to keep mistaken referred to as Steel Spider-Man. Also, Songbird is no longer lead of the team. With these issues, it's Moonstone. She's named the field leader of the team. Now, I'll just point out the fact that Warren Ellis writes these issues. We have Mike Diodato as the artist. Yes. You're probably thinking, okay, now this is before the events of Dark Avengers. Now, you might be asking, does Mike Diodato draw Norman Osborn like Tom Lee Jones? Yep. Yes, he does. Yeah, this is where he first got it. Yeah, he did in this book, The Falling Trade, which was the artist for that one, and then he continued this in the pages of Dark Avengers. Yep. For some reason, he liked drawing Norman Osborn like Tommy Lee Jones. I do not know the reason for this at all. I spoke to Greg Horde about this. Even he remembers that, but he does not know the reason for that. Excuse me. Now, mostly put with these issues, which basically establishing a new status quo with this era for Thunderbolts. And this is something I think is really weird about Thunderbolts. This is the start of several new status quos throughout this run until the book gets restarted in 2013 with Daniel Way on the book. Yes, first of several new ones, because right after this run wraps up, basically, like, they become something else. Yep. So, and Swordsman's deal is that he works Norman Osborn in exchange for bringing back his sister as a clone. Yes, the very same sister that he has had an incestuous relationship with. No, I'm not kidding about that. That's his deal with him. Yep. The choosing sides one is mostly put with that one, Thunderbolts recruiting Venom. There's also a joke in that issue of why doesn't Radioactive Man change his name to like Firestorm Atom. He says legal reasons. I like the fact that was a good joke on the part of Warren Ellis to do that. Yep. Yeah, and he now. I just want to warn else does write the Civil War Initiative issue, but Death Measures is not done by him. It's the only thing in this book not done by him. That is done by Paul Jenkins. Yes, with Steve Lerber on the artwork. Like, okay, interesting. Yep. Paynes himself does a little bit in this story arc. And by the way, Yuri Ackerman is asked about his suit. Yes, why he has to wear it, because he's told to. Yes. First I recruited a Bullseye, and then we have stuff with Jack Flag. The whole thing with Jack Flag, that's in the first couple issues, and also we have the Thunderbolts being reorganized, and apparently getting all nanites in their body. I'm like, you're probably thinking, a metal object put inside someone's body if they get out of control. Does that sound very familiar to a lot of people? Sounds like the Suicide Squad. Yep, sounds like the Suicide Squad. Why the heck Warren Ellis represented the Suicide Squad? I have no idea. Now here's the thing. For some reason, Songbird and Moonstone are considered to be criminals despite the fact they had pardons for years. And Radioactive Man, I don't think he's had one per se. He's had criminal record, but I don't think he was ever pardoned. Yes. Now the Jack Flag, so it's in here for the first few issues. That's the whole. And of course you have Penance doing his stuff here. And after, well, of course, there's stuff with Norman Osborn taking his pills. And he, of course, is interviewing, well, Radioactive Man, obviously. And we have a cameo here by Stan Lee. Why the heck is Stan Lee appearing in Thunderbolts? Well, you might be asking, did he create any of the characters in this book? The answer is 1. I think he created Radioactive Man, but it's weird, though, that Stan Lee made a cameo in a Thunderbolts comic book. Oh, he also created Mac Gorgon. That was another character he created, so 2 characters. We also have this weird thing with this woman named, we have this woman who's with, I think it's, I had to look at this woman's name here. It's from Thunderbolts 112. Mm-hmm. Yes. Because they have the whole thing with Jack Flag for the first 2 issues. Oh, it's a Steel Spider. The woman with him is known as Supature. Yes. I didn't remember this woman's name because they don't mention the book for some reason. It's just her name was Julian. And she's the creation of Mark Greenwald. Yeah, she first appeared in Quasar during the last couple years of the book. What you thinking? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, and here's the thing. Prior to this story arc, prior to these issues, her last appearance was back in Sensational Spider-Man Annual 1996. So, when she appeared at 112, it was the first time in 11 years that she appeared. Like, wow, that's a long time. There's also American Eagle and Steel Spider. Steel Spider, he first appeared as Spider-Kid in the pages of Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, number 72. He's a creation of Bill Mantlo. Yep. And here's the thing about this guy. This guy didn't appear very much. I mean, after appearing in issue 72, he appeared for 2 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, issue Spider-Man Unlimited. His last official appearance part of this book was Amazing Spider-Man Super Special, released in 1995. So him it's even slightly longer. First time in 12 years he was seen. But after this story arc, he wasn't seen ever again. Nope. So a Bill Mantlo character is dating a character created by Mark Greenwald. Interesting. As for American Eagle, that's him right here. That's him. He has appeared occasionally over the years. Yeah, in case you don't know about American Eagle, he is in fact an American character, and he was created by Doug Moak. Yes, Doug Moak. And Ron Wilson. His first appearance back in Marvel 2 and Annual number 6. And appearance-wise, they tend to be like a stereotype for him for some reason. I don't know why, but that's basically the way he is. Now, did he appear prior to this storyline? Yeah, his last appearance was back in Marvel Comic Presents number 148, toward the end of that series. And it was even longer. 13 years. Wow, 13 years between appearances. After the storyline, he has a one-shot. He appears on one shot, another one shot, a couple issues of War Machine, an issue appearance of Homefront, a few issues of the current run for Avengers. He's also appeared for a handful of issues of Agents of Wakanda, a Marvel Voices one shot. His most recent appearance was Avengers 43 as part of the Into the Phoenix storyline, which came out just last year. Yes, and that was his most recent appearance to date. Yeah. So you have 3 characters who appear sporadically over the years, and 2 of whom don't appear after this. Nope, they don't. Do not know why. So for the second half of the storyline, they fight the Steel Spider. Yep. So it's like first it's Jack Flag, and then it's Steel Spider for the remainder of the issues. You have American Eagle, who basically dresses like this now. Yeah, the whole thing with the feathers, that's actually not to his original costume, but he wears a helmet now. Yeah, the one shot is actually a reprint of basically a digital first book that he had published Marvel Limited, and they published as a one shot. Yep. So they fight Thunderbolts, and that's it for the main storyline. That Smashers will take place before 113. Which has a completely different artist on here than Mike Deodato. Yeah, and also, Norman Osborn was not drawn by Norman Osborn. This mostly put just basically a focus on Maricop. Yes, Maricop, who was a creation of Mark Green. I believe he was a creation of Mark Greenwald, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm trying to find out about it. Here we go. Yeah, Maricop. Yeah, he's the creation of Mark Greenwald. He made his first appearance back in 1994. Yep. And this is another character who's made a small handful of appearances. And prior to this one shot, his last appearance was back in Captain America, the Living Legend, back in 1996 for him. Also 11 years. Like, wow, it's like Warren Ellis and basically Paul Jenkins think of old characters who barely used anymore. Yeah, it's mostly just in the both taking on Maricop for like one issue. What was the first Maricop? I have no idea. In the case of the Thunderbolt Civil War, the story from Civil War Choosing Sides, it's mostly put basically how Venom got recruited to the team. Yeah, that's simply put basically of the purpose of the one shot of the short story. Civil War: The Initiative is mostly put focus on a character called the Hurricane, and him just fighting the Thunderbolts. When it takes place, don't know. It could be just after the events of issue number 115. Yeah, this book is actually really good. I thoroughly enjoy this. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Next video discussing my final thoughts on this run and the era for Thunderbolts, because they change this right after the events of a crossover. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Next one, I'm the Comic Corner. Okay, next video. Bye.